So, okay. Your rate card, what determines your costing for it? Let's start there. Your pricing, how much?
A couple of things, right? A couple of things. First, the costs to do, like my overheads, right? For me to do what I need to do, there's some costs that come.
But you're coming to speak.
Yeah. There's still a cost, all right? The cost of time. So you have to prepare what I'm going to speak. There's a cost of, I could have been elsewhere earning something else, so you're taking me away from that. There's a cost of what my brand brings to your event. If it's a stamp of authenticity, trust, there's a cost of my expertise. I'm sharing with you my expertise. And Black women need to be compensated for sharing their expertise. There is...
Because that's a challenge you faced.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nowadays I tell companies upfront, I'm like, I'm actually insisting that you pay for me so that you never ever ask another Black woman, African woman, to do anything for free.
Actually, I'm falling in love
I've
with you.
literally told a company that when we were in negotiations, I'm like, but I don't think I'm doing this because I want your money. I'm actually trying to teach you that you'll not take our expertise and not compensate us.
Okay.
You know? So there's that. Then there's actual costs of what do I need? You saw me with that team today. What do I need to be presentable, to be able to come to your event? Sometimes I come
because you come with a presentation and all those things.
Yeah. There's the times I come with a photographer. Now when I travel for conferences, I have my friend who's also my videographer who comes with me. I have to pay him per DMs. I have to pay, you know what I mean? So there are costs, right? And then
I went to Zambia with Derek, so I fully understand what you're saying.
There's a percentage of all the revenue that comes in that goes to fund my own projects, future projects. So that's factored into my rate card.
What?
And let's not forget taxes, because I am such a compliant Kenyan. I also have to think of taxes.
Yeah.
That's a reality.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I don't, I could easily run on a loss.
Yep. So, you must have said a lot of no's along the way.
Oh, yeah. And I don't pay kickbacks. For me to openly say this on camera, I don't. I've actually pulled out of campaigns because somebody at agency wanted me to give them a 10th of what I was being paid. And I said no.
And they decided we're not
And I
moving.
pulled out. I sent an email to the client and everything. They even found my sister to beg my sister, Amanda, to talk to me to come back. My sister is a financial trader, so she's not in this world. And she just told them, me that I know my sister. If she said no, Poleni. And I said it. And then I ended up working with the brand again, and this time it was very different.
Oh.
Very different.
The reason why I'm asking you about saying no is a lot of people, you have a savings goal you're trying to reach.
Yeah, bro.
You're the savings goal. So how are you saying no with this savings goal?
That one I didn't have.
Haba na haba is better than nada na
Actually,
nada.
that year I didn't. Yeah, that year I didn't have strange people. Everybody who stepped up to me came correct.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do many. My thing is, I don't do many. Even if you check, I don't do many brand partnerships. I do like
quality
3 that are heavy enough to take me through the year or a year and a half. So even 2018, I only did when I went to Monaco, when I went to South Africa, and you see the Monaco one was across a long, so it was like monthly payments for something. And then that was the year I even did goalkeepers, the conference, I went for that. So I don't do, that year I never actually had to say no.
Is it easier working with, and a lot of what happened that year is you began working with international companies.
Yeah.
Is it as compared to local companies, and by local I'm talking about in Kenya, is it difficult working with them as in your space right now because of things like kickback and negotiating and how much they believe your value is worth?
There was a point it was challenging, but now I think people understand your value. They understand your ethics, what you stand for. And so people don't, I haven't had any ethical issues of late. No. I think if you do it repeatedly, the industry is small enough for people to know this chick doesn't sway this way. And you might call it being naive, but I truly believe there's an ethical way to do business.
Yep.
And it allows me peace of mind when I walk into a boardroom, not to feel like, hey, I can't say this because this person knows that I did this. I don't. There's a peace of mind it gives me, and I can stand by my rates. I know why I'm asking for this much, and what even PQ taught me. Even if you don't agree business-wise, we're not enemies. We don't have to do business. I'm not going to bend over and run on a loss for you, but I'm not going to hate you for it.
Yep.
Who knows? We'll do business again.
Okay, I want to stick to this business conversation. If you notice on CTA, there's a trait of people who I interview, especially within the business conversations, and that ethical thing, that lack of corruption, for me, stands out, and it's something I look for, and something that God has sort of allowed me, the people who I sit and have conversations, to have that trait in it, because I believe you don't need to go that way.
You don't.
But I'll ask them, as a follow-up to what I've just said, is then what sacrifices along the way have you made? Another example, for example, you've talked about having to say no because somebody wanted a kickback from you. Give me other sacrifices, examples that you may have had.
I wouldn't call it sacrifices on my end, but I've lost many gigs. Oh yeah.
Because of the terms of your...
Because I've refused to give yeah. I lost there's one really big gig, but I don't even think it even popped, or they did it. I think it tanked. But that one I lost because the person who was running it asked me in a very suggestive way, what am I willing to do to get it? And it was a man.
So that's sexual now.
That has happened to me once. And there's another one where we're in the client's building, in the lift, and this person is asking me, say this much when the client, asks, trying to play with the numbers. And I said, no. I was like, what? And at that time I had a manager, and we were both so confused that, Yani, there's no shame. These conversations we're in the building, we're in your client's building.
Yeah.
So I've lost, and I'm pretty sure there are some I've lost that I don't even know I've lost. But I've been fortunate enough to let my work speak for myself, and I have so many return clients.
Yep.
So, and there are organizations who stand for certain values that we share. And even when I left KISS and I started my podcast, there's something called a brand heart, like heart, right? And it's like your mission, your vision, your purpose, and your values. And my values are very clear. And going through that process helped me understand who I can work with and who I can't work with. Even if you bring me fantastic amounts of zeros, I'll just be like, Z, we're not aligned. We're not aligned values-wise.
Which is huge. From, there's something that you've said that I can't, it's so beautiful. You've got to pay me so you can learn to pay other black people.
Yes.
Is that a problem you were beginning to face with international companies where they're like, we'll fly you in, we'll put you on first
and I'm wondering,
class.
Was I meant to walk? Like when you were calling me, what was the plan? I was meant to from Kenya and swim through the waters to attend your conference. You must be out of your mind. I'm like, and then that's a given.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, before COVID, in early 2020, actually March 2020, I was meant to go to Germany. And I was so proud of myself because it was the first conference I'd negotiated for myself in partnership with the German government. I'd negotiated for myself so well. I was so, I'd like to thank me moment. It was that one and then COVID. Like literally, patient one was here the day after I got my visa.
Ouch.
I was just like, are you kidding me? But I'd done research. I'd looked at musicians, technical riders, like international musicians. I'd looked at hospitality riders. it was going to be my first trip now traveling with a videographer. My thing was I need to capture all of these speaking engagements, because part of my bio needs to be a reel. To say I've worked with so and so, I've spoken here and here. It's not enough to have
and
pictures.
They were calling you to speak.
Yeah, they were calling me to give a keynote speech.
A keynote speech on what? On
how, like, the innovative things young Africans are doing that Germany could learn from us about.
I get.
Yeah. And so, I was going to spotlight a lot of young people that I'd interacted with, some who are doing stuff around reducing the digital gender gap, people with innovating in farming.
Speak is like the closing, the artist closing in a conference. I mean, in a concert. It's like, say Beyonce has come now.
Yeah.
That's what a keynote speak is for a conference.
Yeah, so it was going to be quite something. I'd negotiated for a team. Right down to where is my room. When I was watching the Faki interview, where my room will be situated. I didn't want to be near the lifts. I didn't want ABCD. Right down to who's going to pick me from the airport, what type of car.
Wow. I spoke with Noriega. Noriega is Otile Brown's manager. And they have a certain car that picks them up. And there's a time they said we want this kind of, they're like Land Rovers or whatever. It was not Land Rovers, but 4x4s and whatever. He'll explain it better. And the guys listened and came with two different cars. And Noriega was like, "Don't enter that car." And Otile Brown was like, "Listen, he's the manager, right? No, I have not entered that thing." So what's blowing my mind? So the people who sit on this seat, I don't call them artists, musicians, or those things. I call them culture shaping icons.
I like that.
CSIs.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm feeling there is no difference with what Faki talked about with Nyashinsky and what you are demanding for Adelle.
I definitely, and it happened even 2019, end of 2019, I went for the World Youth Forum.
Yes, it's okay. Just drop them. It's okay. Okay.
That was in Egypt. And
again, keynote speak. You're going to speak.
Was I speaking at that one?
Or moderator?
No, I wasn't doing anything. I was just invited to attend. And I had my own driver. I think they classed the cars in different classes. Class A, Class B, Class C, or something like that. I can't really remember from my negotiations for Germany. I had my own security.
This was what you asked for as part of you being called. Yeah, Adelle, we don't give you enough flowers. There's some flowers at the back there.
I'll just pinch a rose.
They were for you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear this.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to hear this, that people are doing this, not just in the music sector. This is just a human being understanding their value and the value that they bring. And therefore, if you want this value, this is what I expect.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not every trip that is like that. You know what I mean? But I feel like the goal is to ensure that every trip is like that. And the goal is to ensure that, and it's not from an ego point of view. It's from, again, as African women, we are intelligent, we're bringing an expertise, and you're gaining from us. You're going to compensate me and treat me as though you value me, which you should. That's really just what it is.
I like the fact that your words right now have moved from Kenya to Africa. You began to speak Pan-African in your conversation. Do you feel like you're in that space now?
Absolutely. The conversations I'm having, and it's crazy because it was my goal every beginning of the year for since 2017. I was like, I want to be, when you think of African women, I want to be on that list. And I ended 2017 with BBC 100 Women. I ended 2018 with another list. I can't remember if it was top 100 Africans. Then 2020, I had MyPad, which is a people of African descent. It's a chapter under the UN, 100 Africans there. Now I can speak at conferences in France that are talking about African relationships. I can talk in Zimbabwe about African relationships with the West. I can talk with the African Union. I just came back from Addis, talking about the deals, the African trade partnerships the African Union gets into with Western countries, informing them of our solutions right before they went into the EU summit, so that they represent us right. And so now I'm having a more Pan-African approach to the stuff that I do.
This is mind-blowing, but I love it. I want to not rush into this space, this conversation. I want people to understand the journey. So you leave. Where the story ended was you and PQ having a negotiation. That's how we ended up into this rabbit hole. So what happens?
March 26th is my final day.
2019.